Would you like to introduce yourself just for the people watching, please?
My name is Ashton. I go by Behind the Darkness. I'm chronically diagnosed with borderline and narcissistic personality disorder, and a lot of my page is talking about the stigmas on all cluster B disorders, but then also trying to educate on BPD and NPD.
Hmm.
I haven't been active as much because I've been taking a break and just trying to focus on my life and
Hmm.
trying to get my head in order. But I plan on eventually coming back and making it more healing focused. Because I
Love that,
think that'd
though.
be more beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got some questions around like a mixture. So basically, we've
Okay.
got, just to kind of tell us about what like, NPD and stuff is, and then I've got some questions on like recovery and then like obviously impact on like relationships and like long-term growth. So I thought we could cover a nice. It's progressive. It's more progressive, I suppose, than the last
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we can still educate some people because I still rant on TikTok. I still rant on TikTok at people, being like, "That's not what narcissism is." So, and I just,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of misconceptions about it. I mean, there's some things that are definitely true, but
mm,
I think a lot of what people get mixed up is the reasons why we do things.
mm,
Um, I think the intention is what people get mixed up.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, this question it says we often use narcissist as a slang term for someone who is vain. What is the clinical difference between like high self-esteem and someone that has like NPD? What do you think the difference is? Can you educate us all on that, please?
I think somebody who genuinely has a high self-esteem is exactly that. Somebody who's just genuinely confident. They know
Yeah.
who they are. They um they have a stable sense of identity.
Mm,
They um they don't need other people's approval to know that
mm,
they're good or um that they are who they say they are. Whereas somebody who's clinically diagnosed with NPD,
mm,
although they may act like they have a high self-esteem, they
mm.
don't. It's a defense mechanism. They're trying to cover up, you know, deep insecurities. They don't
Yeah.
know who they are, although they think they have like this like person that they think they are that they've crafted in their
Mm,
head. They don't actually know who they are.
mm.
They A lot of us rely on other people's approval to
Yeah.
know who we are because
Mm,
it's always been um things like love and praise and things like that have always been conditional. So it's always
yeah.
been you're only good when you're meeting a person's expectations, you know.
Mm. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, no, thank you for clearing that up for people watching and stuff. So, can you describe what like the true self is or like the false self? Would you mind just briefly going into that if you don't mind? Just
Yeah.
because we've got all bases covered then. Yeah.
Yeah. So the false self is it's difficult because we often kind of mistake that as our true self.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have, like I said, we have this version that we've this character that we've essentially created that like
Mm,
we portray ourselves as a defense
mm,
mechanism. It's our way of again coping with our deep insecurities
mm,
um and I would say it's a sense of hope too. Like I feel like it's also our way of trying to cope with the fact that like we're miserable, that we don't like who we are, and so it's this constant like, oh well, we're like we're constantly aiming to be this version of ourselves that we're created. So it's like, oh well, everything's
mm,
gonna be fine, everything's gonna work out because we're gonna get there, we're gonna be on top, and
mhm.
we're gonna do this and that, and so like it makes it easier to stand or I guess cope with the fact that like we aren't the person who we want to be or that we aren't happy with ourselves or whatever the situation is.
Mm,
Whereas like I would say the true self is, who we actually are, the part of us that is deeply insecure, um, fragile, emotionally
Mm.
sensitive, um, and it's very like it it's very difficult to face that side of ourselves because of how
Mm.
much shame is around it.
Mm.
And something I have found is that some of the things that like cause or bring shame aren't things that are necessarily things to be ashamed of. Like sometimes it's it's literally just trauma responses to how we were
Mm.
treated as kids. Like there's no reason to actually be ashamed or feel a certain way
Mm.
about something. But like even the perceived shame can like throw us to a spin. Like that's why we struggle so much with vulnerability and opening up, because
Mm.
it's like it's not that it's not necessarily that we don't want to, it's that we're afraid of how that person will react. So it's like the idea of
Mm.
even possibly being shamed for something, it's like we just shut down.
Mm. Perception is a very strange thing, isn't it? With like personality disorders, because I feel like I was saying to actually to Mason when we did a different podcast episode, that like it can get to a point where you genuinely believe what you are perceiving, that
Yeah.
is the truth. Like obviously it's the black and white thinking, right? And you think, right, solidly that is the truth. That must be the truth because that is how I'm perceiving it. And I think sometimes we can see things in a different reality. Um, so it can be difficult at times to get out of that mindset. So.
Yeah, I know it's very difficult because, and that's something like, again, that I've really been kind of become aware of, is that a lot of times,
Mhm.
you know, what I'm perceiving isn't actually reality, but
Mm.
because that's just been the pattern our entire life, it's really hard to believe otherwise,
Mm.
especially when it's just really difficult. But like, yeah, it's like it's tough. It's really tough sometimes. So
Yeah, because I think with like therapy and stuff, obviously they lay the foundations down, but in order for it to work, it's yourself that's got to put in that hard work, and
yeah,
it's like breaking bad habits a lot with a lot of the stuff, in my opinion, at least.
it's like I feel like, well, maybe people do talk about it, but it's like people think that like healing is like this like easy thing, and it's like no, it's not. It's actually, I
Mm.
mean, I don't know what it's been like for you, but for me, it's pretty painful because like
Mm.
you're literally forced to face the things that you've been running from your entire life. So like you're
Mm.
having to rewire all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and it brings back old shit that is
Mhm.
fucking painful. It's
Yeah.
it's it's dude, like it's
It's
there's
hard.
some days it's really fucking hard, and there's some days you're sitting there and you're like, God, am I just a fucking horrible person?
Mhm.
Like, or like you look back on things and you're like, wow, that was really fucked up. Like, how did I never like see that? Whether it was something that you did to somebody else or something that was done to you, and you're like, and it almost like makes you angry because it's like, how the fuck did nobody notice?
Mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
feel like, what I mean? There's always like some anger and resentment that like, but then, and I feel like forgiving yourself for certain things can be really challenging as well. Like,
Mm. Mm.
it,
It's like
it's
changing a whole mindset, right?
yeah, changing the mindset's difficult. Um,
Mm.
again, especially when you're fucking in the middle of an episode and your anxiety's just through the fucking roof and you're spiraling, you're paranoid, and you can't get it to
Mhm.
fucking stop.
It's hard, and like what how have you navigated, because I know you're in a relationship now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So how have you like navigated everything then in like your relationship? Because I know last time we properly spoke you weren't in a relationship, and then obviously we spoke a bit. I saw on TikTok, I was like, oh my god, he's in a relationship, yay. And you look really well, by the way. So yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna lie, it's challenging.
Hmm.
Especially because we both have BPD, so there's
Hmm.
there's there's some days it can be challenging because like, you know, I'll have an episode and that can set her off and then vice versa. So like it can be really challenging when we're both having like moments of doubt, because and I think that's just how it kind of is when you have two people with personality disorders. But you know, I will say, like, I have learned a lot since being with her.
Mhm.
I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about my past, because like she's like, I'll say things and she'll kind of like, bring something to my attention. It's like,
Mm.
I'm like, huh, I never noticed it before, and it just kind of gives me
Mm.
like a different perspective on things, and it
Mhm.
sometimes good, sometimes bad. Um, but I think the most challenging part of navigating things is learning not to like future trip.
Mm.
Like overthinking is something that I really struggle with, and that she struggles with
Mm.
here and there. Um, but that's really challenging because it's easy to go into all the what is,
Yeah.
or to um have all these fears and stuff, I think it derives from the fear of lack of control,
Mm.
because like
Mm.
the fear of the same thing happening again, or um the fear of losing them, or
Mhm.
just the fear of like it becoming like the same thing, because we often find ourselves in similar patterns and stuff, and it's just,
Mm.
and so like learning that, like, kind of like, again, what you're perceiving isn't always reality. Just because like you
Mhm.
feel like in the moment you're reliving old trauma doesn't mean that
Mm.
the same situation.
Facts over feelings, I think the saying is, isn't it? Something like
Yeah,
facts over
yeah.
feelings, yeah. No, I get it because I've not so long, well, back in like January time, I moved in with my partner, because well, I don't, we've been together like what, like nearly 3 years now, and that was definitely, it had its challenges. So because I'm used to being on my own, um, so having like someone else in my space, I was like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not used to this, and it's like you have to be vulnerable around them because you're literally like, you're sharing a space with them. So that threw me for a new one for a while. So yeah, it definitely, being in like relationships and stuff, when you've got obviously BPD yourself or a partner does, comes with its own challenges. But yeah, so what do you think drives someone with like NPD or BPD to seek help? Is it an internal reflection, or is it like you've reached rock bottom, and I need to get my shit together, or what do you think it is?
I think it depends on the person. I think it's usually a combination of both. I think sometimes it's self-reflection, but I think in a lot of cases, because a lot of us lack the ability to self-reflect,
Mm.
we just kind of hit a point of rock bottom, and we just kind of get to a point of where we're just sick of it, and we're like, we just don't know what else to do.
Mm.
Um, and it just, like, I know for me, it was, I had recently broken up with my ex-girlfriend, and um, BPD started popping up on my page, and I started like really resonating with it, and
Mm.
certain things started making sense, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe
Mm.
it's something I actually have. Um, but something that Lee Hammock said, and I think this is true for a lot of us that get help, because like,
Mm.
some of us become aware and or get a diagnosis, but then some of us, we just kind of continue doing whatever.
Mm.
Um, he mentioned about how, the thing that drove him to get help was that he was always trying to understand himself. He always had this um, desire for a deeper understanding,
Mm.
and that's very true for me. I've always been that way since I was a kid. I've always been trying
Yeah.
to understand society, why the world is the way it is, and
Mm.
also trying to understand myself. Like, there was a lot of times in my last relationship that's like that where I would just, we would get into a fight or whatever, and I would just end up breaking down and being like, I don't know, I don't know why I'm like this. I
Mm,
don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't understand because some days I feel fine and other days I
mm,
feel like I'm fucking insane. Like,
mm-hmm.
and um, so like I would say like it's definitely more of an internal drive. Like you have to like yes recognize something's wrong, but you have to want to do something about it. And I think
Mm.
that's where a lot of people fall short is they either just don't want to put in the work or they're afraid to put in the actual work.
Yeah, because obviously then you're going to be vulnerable and you've got to basically lay it out all on the table. I remember going in when I did DBT and she brought these cards out to me and she was like, right, can you put these in piles of like what you think, what you feel and what's not true that you don't feel or whatever. And it was like everything on this side. She was like, oh, right, so everything then. I was like, yeah, oh, everything. Now it got to, I think for me, with my experience, it just got to a point, especially in this relationship, where I'd hit like a really bad fucking place, and it's just the same cycle. Every relationship I've been in, because obviously I'm a bit older than you, so I'm nearly fucking 30 now. So, and I'd be in like the same cycles. Don't leave me, beg for them back. Then I'd split, kick off at them, fuck you, leave me, I don't want you near me, and it'd just be the repetitiveness every single relationship. And I got I was like, at this point, it's me. Because all right, maybe when I was younger, I had that mentality. It's everyone else. It's not me. It's everyone else. Well, it's not though, is it? Not when it's been like 5 times. I think it's you, is it? So that's when I was like, no, actually, I need to fucking get my shit together now because this is a joke. Especially it's like when I became a mum as well, because I was like, I cannot be traumatizing my kid, um, because I don't want them to end up like me. So,
Yeah.
um, so So there's a question. It says the empathy gap. A core trait of NPD is apparently a lack of empathy. Is empathy a muscle that can be built through therapy, or is recovery more about learning cognitive empathy, um, and understanding it intellectually?
Um, I'm gonna say that probably depends on the person as well.
Mm,
Um, I think for most narcissists, learning cognitive empathy is probably gonna be, your best bet. But empathy is something that like you can still learn.
mm,
I I feel it at certain times. I would say I feel it more for like, my girlfriend. Like I would say I
yeah.
definitely have a lot of empathy for her.
Mm,
Um, but it's definitely something that like I've had to learn and not just like in ways of like, oh, understanding what they're feeling,
mm,
but then also like kind of understanding how like things you're doing or things you're saying can impact that person too.
mm,
Like it's not just a simple, oh yeah, understanding what they're feeling, but then also being empathetic and say, okay, what can I do to help? Whether
yeah.
that's telling them something or doing something for them.
Yeah.
Like, empathy is several things. And so like and it's challenging because like the a lot of people think that like we don't care and it's like no, it's not that we
Mm,
don't care, it's that like we were never really taught empathy or so like
mm-hmm.
things that like should be on our radar aren't.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't care, it's just we were never taught certain
Yeah.
things, so it's not something that comes to our mind. So
Mm,
like you have to basically like re not even relearn, you have to still be taught like certain
mm.
things.
It's like
uh,
rewiring your brain, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
I know, like, what did my therapist say to me back in the day? What did she say? She said something like, with like personality disorders and stuff, obviously, you've used these certain techniques to like cope when you were younger, when you were a child. But obviously, it gets to a certain age when we're an adult where we don't need these anymore, and they're actually more harmful than they are positive compared to when we were younger. And then that's when we need to obviously nip it in the bud. But it's hard for people to understand that haven't been through it and haven't had to use it to cope with things. Um, Yeah, it's definitely, it's a difficult one, but because it's like even it's like I think what was challenging to me is to not look at things black and white, right? I'm like, no, come on, Izzy, there's more nuance to this. It might be something. It could be. Don't just jump that this person is a prick. They could be okay. They could. So I have to, which I am a lot better at this, and I think, do you know what? Even this podcast has helped me with it
Mm.
because I have all different types of people that come and talk to me that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can have open conversation with them without thinking, well, this is a bad person, you know. So
Yeah, no, and that's something that I definitely think is beneficial as well. Is like trying to help with the black and white
mm,
thinking. It's only, it's not all the time. It's some only with certain things, but like I feel like my big problem is like whenever like because I got really bad anxiety,
mm,
which you would think most people would go, what do you mean he has NPD? What do you mean he's got bad anxiety?
mhm,
People like don't realize like how
mhm,
bad our anxiety can get, and it's really hard to not jump to like worst case scenario.
mm,
Um, like so reminding myself that there's like other possibilities that everything not everything is like worst case scenario, but then also realizing that like I need to stop internalizing things that like not everybody's what everybody says or how somebody is behaving towards you isn't a reflection of you.
mm,
Sometimes it's them.
mm,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like not every like
Not
not
everyone's out to
everything
hurt you.
well in that and not everything is
Mm,
about you too.
mm,
Like not everything is about you.
mhm,
Like and that's you know difficult because with NPD we're just naturally self-centered, and I think that's part of why we internalize things why we
mhm.
but I think we're also just used to constantly being attacked, so it's like, well, why wouldn't it be about us, you know?
Understandable. It's understandable to feel that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to like therapy and stuff, which do you think, like, which type of therapy is the most effective for such as like NPD or BPD? Obviously, we've briefly mentioned like DBT. Is there any other one type of therapies or anything you've had?
um I haven't done anything other than DBT. I've thought
Mm,
about doing MDR because MDR is really good for like
mm,
trauma and stuff, but not everybody can do it. Basically they're supposed to like assess you for it first to make sure
mm,
that like because I guess the goal is that like when you leave you're supposed to kind of like feel better, not worse from it.
mm.
um
Okay.
so I don't know, it's something I've thought of, and I might get into it because I think it could be beneficial.
Mm.
um
You don't know unless you try it, I guess. So.
yeah. um I've heard people of doing ketamine therapy, which that sounds like a newer thing, and I don't know how well that works, but I've heard of a couple people doing it, which is
I've I've heard of people doing it. They've brought it over here in the UK. Like in the NHS, there's some small branches now where they're starting to like let in a supervised environment let people use it. That and like mushrooms as well. They're meant to be that's meant to be good for like depression and stuff.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean over here it's limited. You're lucky to get DBT. Like I were lucky with how quick I got it. Like even though I'm diagnosed with BPD, they still had to assess me 3 times till they would let me have DBT. I'm not fucking kidding. It's an absolute joke over
Yeah.
here. But now I've just got some questions around impact on relationships and stuff because I'm sure people would are probably interested in knowing. What does genuine accountability look like for someone who has NPD, especially like in a relationship setting? What do you think it looks like for you?
um One, recognizing how the other person is feeling and validating how they feel, even if they're being dramatic or if they're being it doesn't change the fact that they still feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, saying like, okay, like, yeah, I understand you feel this way. You know, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, whatever. I think, you know, asking what, you know, you can do, like if there's something like how to cover them, or, you know, is, and it can be really, and it can be really challenging because that can set off your responses,
Mm-hmm.
and it can make it challenging to think about to still think about the other person while you're having your own, like,
Yeah.
which is why sometimes, you know, a lot of therapists will say sometimes just walking away and coming back later.
Mm.
And it's like, and I think that's like the big thing is like all this stuff is is easy to say, like,
Mm.
but actually having to do it while it's happening is much more challenging. It's something you definitely have to
Mm.
practice. And
Mm.
it's not, you know, and it's not always going to be perfect. And I think the big thing is that it's going to take time. But like, you know, admitting that you were wrong, or that you didn't, or that you did something that upset them, like, and it sucks because it's like, because again, you get caught and you're like, oh my, you feel like you're a horrible person. In reality,
Mm.
you're not. Like, and that's like the crazy thing to me is that like I've made mistakes and stuff,
Mm.
and she's just like, I don't understand why you beat yourself up over it. Like, she's like, you're human, you're allowed to make
Mm.
mistakes. And like the thing is like they create like and it sounds stupid, but like the idea of that is crazy to me because like
Mm.
I'm not used to being allowed to be flawed, to be fucking human. Because anytime
Mm.
I've ever done anything wrong, it's always been I've always been attacked for it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's
Mm.
been passive aggression, or I get ridiculed and shamed for it. And that's like the other thing. It's like her and I don't really shame or ridicule each other.
Mm.
Like, I have issues perceiving it that way sometimes, because
Mm.
like sometimes the way she'll say things, it just sets off my shame response, and she's
Mm.
not trying to, obviously. It's just that is how sensitive we are to shame. It's like just the way you say something can set it off. And you know, she's autistic as well, so sometimes her tone is just very, I mean, those of you that know, like sometimes your tone just comes off the wrong way, and people think you have an
Yeah.
attitude when you don't. And
Yep.
so that's like something I've struggled with, is like not internalizing the way she sounds.
Mm.
Like, and you know, saying these things out loud, it sounds stupid, but like, man, I can't tell you how many times I've just spiraled because I think she's mad at me or upset because like she's
The
just
tone of a voice. Yeah.
because the tone of her voice.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's taking accountability, you know, is it can be challenging, but like at the end of the day, like it's actually more beneficial because like once you learn that, like, okay, that you can admit you were wrong or whatever, and like you're with somebody that's not gonna, like, you know, attack you for it, it really does start to change your perspective, or, oh my god, if I can speak, your perspective on it. Like, and like that's the thing. Like, I feel like with her, although I do still struggle with vulnerability, I would say I've made like a lot of progress. Like, I feel like I can actually,
Well, you look really well, honestly. Your whole mannerism and everything feels
yeah,
a lot like calmer this time round, and you just seem more like you just yourself. You like I don't know if I feel like I'm seeing a bit more of a vulnerable side to you this time
yeah,
than last time.
no,
Do you know what I mean? I
well,
feel
no,
like last time you had a bit more of a front on.
it's funny because my therapist said a very similar thing. She's like, it
Hmm.
seems like you're less angry. You know, I wouldn't say you
Yep.
were necessarily an angry person, but she's like, you definitely seem like you're calmer. And yeah, I would say I definitely haven't been putting up as much as a front. I feel like before I was very superficial, and that's just something that's kind of gone away. I wouldn't say my NPD is like in full remission, but like
Yeah. More manageable.
it's
Uh,
definitely more manageable.
yeah. Well, I love that for you though. That's
Yeah,
amazing though, because personality disorders are fucking hard. So you should be
dude,
proud of yourself for that.
it's challenging. I'm not gonna lie, it's challenging. There's some
Yeah.
days that I wanna just fucking lose my shit, and it's
Hmm.
just like, and I have to like sit there and was like, no way, that's not going to solve anything. You losing your shit is not going to, and that's the thing. I think like once you realize that like your old ways aren't really of benefit, it's just like, okay, so then what the fuck's the point? Like,
Literally though. Yeah. Exactly that.
yeah.
It's like, why am I kicking off over this? Seriously, is it that deep? Is what I tell myself. Really? It's
Well,
like,
it's just
yeah.
like if I lose, if like, you know, if I were to get triggered and then like split
Mm.
on my fucking girlfriend and then like, and then be, you know, my condescending self and be like, after
Mm.
everything I've done, this is just like, what
Yeah.
is one, is that really gonna solve anything? One, that kind of
Mm-mm.
like two, you're making yourself look, well, two, you're making yourself look bad. Three, you're not like helping hurt
Yeah.
any. Like it's
Yeah.
just it just makes things worse, you know? And like I'm not, like obviously I've had moments of where like where I get where I get frustrated to a point that like I feel like fucking flying off the handle, but like I don't, because it's just,
Hmm. Not worth it, man.
no, it's not.
Genuinely, no, it's not.
And
I wish I'd learnt it sooner when I was like younger, because I weren't in any communities, or I weren't friends with people that had like personality disorders, because I didn't even really know what they were and stuff, you know. So I
yeah,
mean, and naturally I lost like every friend around me, which was my fault. My fault. I take accountability for that. Really, I used to be a just shit mindset, innit? It makes me cringe. I look back now and I'm like, ooh, like I would not be friends with me back then. That was gross.
yeah. I definitely feel like it doesn't even feel like I really have the energy to like be that way. Like
Yeah,
I've just,
same.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's just like, what's the point? But no, I would say friendships is something I've always struggled with. That's something I
Mm.
still really need to work on. It's like making actual friends. I have such a hard time. It's like I think a lot of it is a trust thing.
Me too, though. Me too. Mhm.
Like it's a trust thing, but then it's like I just lose interest so quickly.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. It's for, I don't know. It is for me. It's like I'm hypersensitive, but it's I don't split on friends. Never. I never. Not in recent years. I don't unless you've done something really disrespectful, and I'm gonna fucking kick off anyway because I mean you know you're being disrespectful, so you know. But I don't really split on friends, but I do get paranoid. I get paranoid with friends is my problem, and like you know, oh my god, I'll think like intrusive thoughts, or they're talking about me behind my back, even though I've got like
Mhm.
nothing to prove that. And obviously you've got to sit with yourself, and because it's not anyone else's responsibility, right? Obviously to calm you down and stuff, it's on you really to be able to be like, right, I'm gonna ground myself now. Nothing is happening. You've got no proof of this. Is it? Be quiet, man. Like I'm just that's the issue I have when I have friendships. I've probably done it with Mason, to be fair, and as like artist Opal and stuff, because they're like my closest friends really, and I've been like, oh my god, they hate me, like, and I've got like nothing to prove that at all. So
Yeah, I think, you know, and that's valid. Like I definitely think, you know, paranoia is a thing. It's just like it's I don't know. It's kind of like, again, I lose interest, but then
mm,
I think I really have trust issues. Like it doesn't take much for me to kind of like back off and be like,
yeah, I'm a bit ooh,
and
like yeah,
I think what really did me in the ringer was just all the bullshit I dealt with last year,
mm,
um, with my last friend group.
mm,
Um, I think like and the other thing is like I've dealt with a lot of betrayal in my life, like a lot of it. I mean, like for reference, my ex-girlfriend and my ex-best friend are now engaged together and have a house together. Just to give you an idea of like the type of betrayal I'm dealt
Oh,
with.
yeah, that'll do it. Oh, yeah.
So like, and then I got stabbed in the, and then I had a a friend group, and then that whole thing kind of fell through, and then like, so I'm just oh my god, used to being turned on, and like that's something that like I even struggle with now is like I worry that like my girlfriend's gonna like switch up on me and like
Mm.
stab me in the back or like I like obviously I don't think she's going to. It's just a fear,
That irrational fear. Yeah.
but it's just like that irrational fear of like the same things happening again. And it's something I
Mm.
struggle with a lot. And it's like that's why, I've wondered, you know, considered maybe trying to do EMDR to help
Mm.
maybe heal some of those things. But yeah, it's just like, and that's the thing is like she hasn't actually really done anything,
Yeah.
and that's why I've been trying so hard to really try to get my anxiety under control because then when I get, worked up, then she gets
Mm.
worked up and then she's spiraling and stuff. And it's just so we
Mm.
just kind of set each other off and it's like, okay, you know,
Mm.
it's not like,
Yeah.
is our relationship perfect? No. I think every, relationship has its issues
Yeah.
and especially with personality disorder, I think there's just going to be moments where things are a little turbulent, but like
Mm-hmm.
all things considered, like we really haven't had like any major issues. Like we don't even yell at each other.
I love that for you. Honestly.
Like
You should be
like
proud of
we don't
yourself. I know you're not going
like
to take what I
like
say
like
as like proper, but
yeah
you should be proud of yourself,
yeah
honestly.
like yeah. I mean we have disagreements. Like don't get
Mm.
me wrong, but like I don't think
That's
we've once
normal. Very normal, though. You're not going to agree on everything. You're only human, so.
and not to say that like we won't have arguments and stuff, but like we have not. I don't think we've once like really yelled at each other, or certainly haven't screamed at each other.
Mm.
Like you know, uh, how we both have moments of doubt. Yeah, I think that's just normal with BPD.
Yeah.
I think it's just you know, um, but no, and that's the thing like that I have to remind myself is like, okay, like yeah, you have all these bad thing like fears, but like look at where you are now, and
Mm-hmm. That's
it's
it,
tough.
innit?
You're fighting, 20 plus years of all of this shit that you just and it's so hard sometimes like I mean I know but like you're sitting there and you're trying to fight the thoughts, you're trying to like
Mm-hmm.
reassure yourself, you're trying to like
Mm-hmm.
like tell yourself no, but then like the thing where I get mixed up is I'll sit there and try to like talk myself down, and then it's like wait, am I just gaslighting myself? Am I just
Mm-hmm.
am I just gaslighting myself from
Yeah.
reality? And then it's like, oh shit, what if it's like this is actually like horrible, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gaslighting myself, and I'm not like acknowledging like like, and and so that's where it becomes really challenging. And it's like, but like that's just the games that your brain will, or oh my god, the tricks
You're
your
all
brain.
right. You're fine.
You know what I'm trying to say, but those are the tricks that like your brain will play on you to.
It's shit. You fight in your own head. That is it, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to get out of it sometimes because you just want to sit there and fucking rot,
Do you know what I think? Honestly, one of the things that works for me is I'll like, let's say if I'm with my boyfriend, whatever, and I'm having like an irrational thought, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Verbalizing it, even though I know it's not true, but just saying to him, hey, I'm having these thoughts right now. I know they're not true, but being able to just, like speak them to him makes me feel better because I've got it out and it's like out of my head. Do you know what I mean? If that
Yeah,
makes kind of sense, that helps me. Obviously, he knows it's not true. I'm like, hey, look, I know this is absolute. I'll always like say, hey, look, this is absolutely wild, and I know this is not true, but in my head, I've got to tell you this. That seems to help
yeah,
me a bit.
and that's something I definitely need to try to do more. It's just like it's like because I think I'm like this is probably stupid, and it's like well why even say it? But then it's like it's just a constant back and forth of just fight of
Mm,
like you know what I mean.
mm,
Um, And yeah, oddly enough, like I don't really have many issues like when I'm actually with her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
every time I've gone to go see her, because she's out of state,
Mm.
we do really well. Like we definitely do a lot better like in person.
Yeah.
And I think the distance definitely makes it, challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, just like even like when her and I go and just do stuff, it helps. Like I think that's the other part of the problem is like I think her and I both need to like kind of get out more, and
Mm.
that's just even if it's well we got a puppy recently, so we're gonna be doing dog walks, so we're gonna have to get out. But like I think like I've noticed like when you just kind of like just go and fucking do something and you're just
Yeah.
it gets your mind off shit. That like that's why like recently I've been trying to get back into my games more because although it's not the same as like going out and doing something, it keeps me
Busy. I'm
it
the
keeps me
same
busy.
though. I'm the
It
same
keeps me
with
engaged.
games. Yeah.
It's like there's just like there's not shit to do where I'm at, and I'm not the type of person where I'm gonna go and fucking walk by myself. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just like, I'm just not.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. I'm in
But
the
like,
middle, like, but fuck nowhere here now where I live, and it's like, there's nothing to do. I'm not gonna go for a walk on my own in fields. Like, yeah. So.
no, yeah, but like that's why I play my games because like it just gives me something to do, and and then I've gotten on, I got on medication, which I think is definitely helping.
Good. What do you take? Do you mind me asking? What medication you on?
Yeah, so they started me on 5 milligrams of Lexapro, and now I'm on 10.
Which one's
And
Lexapro? Let me have a look at the
it's an
differences between the.
SSRI.
Is it an SSRI? Okay.
Yeah, it's for depression and anxiety. Because I also have major depressive disorder,
Mm,
which, um,
okay. Yeah, I'm just reading it
yeah.
now because we call it like we have different names in the UK for like our
So
antidepressants and stuff. So
it's so the generic name is uh es escitalopram. I don't know how to fucking pronounce that.
you know what's meant to be really good for anxiety, but I found it. Yeah, I think I found it. Yeah,
Yeah,
escitalopram, commonly known as the brand name Lexapro, is a
yeah,
prescription selective serotonin SSRI. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Well, yeah. Apparently you can. I'm on the NHS website now. Actually, apparently you can get it in the UK. I take one called fluoxetine. I've been on that for years, on and off. Um. But I tell you one, I would recommend. Don't know what the name would be under in America, but I was on these anxiety meds and they do really work, but I have really low blood pressure. So this anxiety med, it's a beta blocker. So it's also it helps people with obviously like high blood pressure because it makes you calmer. But I can't take it because mine's too fucking low and I start getting nosebleeds because of these. But they really do work. They're called propranolol. I'll send you a name later, and they I recommend those. I wish I could have stayed on them. Honestly, if I didn't have the low blood pressure, I would have stayed on those meds because I was only on them for what, like a couple months, and even then, they take away like the physical symptoms you get with anxiety, like
Yeah.
the chest and stuff like that. And yeah, I'll send you
Yeah,
that
they
later.
got
But
me on
yeah,
buspirone, 5 milligrams. I started
I've heard of
because
that one as well. Yeah.
I well they had because they had given me they had given me uh Xanax.
Mm.
I was like, which it works short term, like if you're having, but it's like it doesn't help, you know, over the day. And my therapist was like, well, dude, she's like, dude, Xanax is like outdated. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, she recommended I get I'm trying to get on buspirone. So I talked to my doctor
Mm.
about it, and he started me on 5 milligrams because like I noticed the Lexapro definitely helps with the depression, the
Mm.
anxiety. It's kind of like yes, it listed a little bit, but not completely. So like I
Mm.
really wanted to get like just like a booster, so that's why I got into Pisprone. And I don't know, I've only been taking it for 2 3 days. I just recently started it, so I don't really know how well it works. But the
Mm.
Lexapro works really well though. I do like it. I don't know if it'll stay that way because I have not had best of or I have not had a lot of luck with medication in the past. But
Yeah. It's worth a try at the end of the day.
yeah.
That's how I look at it. So this set of questions, long term growth and stuff. So, what does remission look like for someone with NPD? Is it a lifelong thing you think you're going to have to be dealing with to still, deal with it for the rest of your life? What have you noticed now? I know we briefly mentioned it, but what does remission look like for you?
Um. Well, first off, I think NPD is just going to be something I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. I don't think it's ever going to completely go away. I think that's with all the personality disorders. I think there are a lot of people that say that to encourage people to get help, but it's also very misleading.
Mm.
So like, yeah, you can get into remission, but remission just means you don't meet the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get to remission, but you have to keep yourself in remission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think remission looks a lot like I think it's a couple things. One, learning to take accountability.
Mm.
I would say that goes for borderlines as well. I would say a lot of this probably applies to BPD, but also learning to be vulnerable. And again, that's something I still struggle with. Um, but I'll admit I've never been as vulnerable with my girlfriend as I have been with anybody else. Like
Mm.
it's genuinely scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, learning, and I think learning to set realistic expectations. Um,
Yeah.
like like learning to live in reality because a lot of times we live in fantasy land.
Mm.
And so because of that we set unrealistic expectations and then we're just basically self-sabotaging ourselves because then when we don't because that's how we end up making like false promises
Yeah.
and and stuff because we're not being realistic. It's not that like we're trying to deceive anybody, it's just we get caught up in these wonderful ideas of delusions of grandeur and
Mm.
but like we're like it sounds good but then like we don't actually think through of okay can I actually do this
Yeah.
like you know what I mean like we just we don't like I think a lot of times it comes off as we just say things just to say things
Mm.
when that's you know maybe for some that's true but like for me it's like I genuinely have the intention or want to do said thing but then
Yeah.
it's I feel like I either forget about it or I just don't realize that like the expectations I'm setting for myself are unrealistic and not. So that's why like I've been trying to like not think about the future too much, which is
Mm.
challenging, but like I've been trying to just to take like do it one thing at a do it one thing at a time.
Mm.
Um and like I said, like all this stuff like that we're talking about is so much easier said than done. Like it's challenging to actually do those things
Mm.
and um you know like consistently get it down. It takes
Yeah.
time. Um but yeah, I would say like remission is those three main things, vulnerability, accountability, setting realistic expectations. Um
Yeah. Those are solid. Yeah, those are solid. Yeah, I agree. Um. So, okay. So, does the heavy stigma surrounding NPD actually prevent people from seeking help? And to help stop the cycle of harm. What do you think?
I would say so because I think the stereotype has kind of been so twisted around. Like I said earlier, I think a lot of people get our intentions mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they think that like we do the things we do because we're evil and we're intentionally trying to hurt people, which isn't really the case. We're just severely disordered.
Yeah.
Not that it's an excuse, but like um, I think if people actually understood why we do the things we do and like our understood our actual intentions, I think they would maybe be more at peace with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of reasons why the stigma doesn't help. One, it again kind of sets this false like narrative of how we actually are. That like we're just like
Mm-hmm.
these evil, manipulative people, which is not true. So
Mm-hmm.
then when somebody says, "Hey, I think you have this," we're like, no, what the fuck you mean? I'm not evil. I'm not intentionally trying to hurt people because it's not relatable.
Yeah.
It's not relatable. Well, that doesn't make sense. I want to do that. Now, are
Mm.
there some narcissists out there that are fucking fucked up, psycho, and evil? Yeah, but I would argue that most of us are just simply traumatized.
Yeah, you just want to try and live your
Um,
life.
yeah. The other part of it is that somebody who suspects it is now not gonna want to get help because now they don't want to be labeled as evil or all these things, or they're afraid to get help because like now they're gonna struggle to find a therapist that helps. And that's the thing, like finding a therapist that like can help is challenging because there's a lot of therapists that
Mm.
don't want to work with people with personality disorders, especially
Yeah.
narcissists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They think we're untreatable and stuff, don't they? And all that shit. Oh, I can't stand it. I
I,
just,
well, yeah, but I think there's a lot of them that they just simply don't want to deal with us.
yeah.
I mean, I can't
Yeah.
say I blame them, but again, it's like, well, how are we supposed to get help now? If
Mm-hmm.
because like imagine like that's the thing. It's like you're trying to get help, but now but we don't want to help you because that's like a big fuck you to the face, and then that just it's like, well, why the fuck should I try it? What the fuck's the point? Like I should just fucking you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's discouraging.
It gets used against you anyway. Like, I know I've talked about it in the past. So, like, when I've tried to access, like, my, like, women's healthcare and stuff, I remember, like, speaking to the doctor about it. And I remember him being like, and then they put on the notes like this person has like, and it'd never say severe anywhere else, but on this because I tried to like apply, to get this healthcare, they'd put severe BPD. I thought, know what you're doing, you little shit. And you're trying to use this against me so I can't get sterilized. I still did. I ended up getting sterilized and I had to fought through like tooth and nail. Um, but they will, and I know other people that they've had it used against them over here, at least in the UK. And like my therapist, she was like, do you know that you'd be surprised the amount of people that come in here actually want that diagnosis removed because it causes them more trouble than it's worth. So that's the stigma around personality
Yeah,
disorders. So
yeah. Just why I don't really bring it up. I told my primary care doctor because I told him about the BPD. I didn't tell him about the NPD just because.
mm,
But and he was kind of like whatever about it. So
mm,
obviously my therapist knows and everything. Yeah, I mean, over here, as far as like job and stuff, they don't really seem to care
mm,
unless it's like I don't know. I guess it just depends on the job, but I haven't had any issues with this for a job. I mean, I've always put because I don't know how it is over there, but like you have an option like to not answer, and so I always just do that.
mm,
Technically, yeah, they could like go and like pull your record, but like unless it's
mm,
I don't know how it works over there, but like over here, the way my therapist explained it, like yes, you're diagnosed with these things, but are diagnosed under this, insurance company. So unless like
mm,
they were to somebody were to go and pull it, they wouldn't see it. Now, if you
Mm.
told, now if you went to the hospital and like told them like that you have this and this and this, then that would be on file. But yeah, I like I said, I don't tell people like as far as like when it comes to health and stuff. I don't tell people unless I have to. Like
Mm.
I would never go to the hospital and tell them I have BPD and NPD unless it was absolutely necessary.
See over here, because the NHS is like one body, one governing body, they can pull it up. It don't matter. It don't matter. They can just see all your records. So there's no, like, I remember, right, I applied for like basically a disability benefit like months ago now, right? And I didn't even put down BPD because I quite frankly didn't know it at the time. So, and then I was on this phone call and we were going through like, because I've had treatment for OCD and stuff. And they went, what about this BPD? And I went, it's funny you should mention that because I didn't actually find out about that being on my record till a few months ago, but it had been on there since 2019. Um, and then that's when I was like, right, well, this makes sense why I need fucking help. Why is no one and I literally had doctors that rang me back and was like, I'm really sorry we didn't fucking tell you this, like we have severely let you down. I'm like, yeah, just a bit. So I've been sat here for like the last like 6 years or whatever and I've had no help. What do you mean? Like, anyway, that is for a different that because a whole different podcast episode. um so what, so as a final word, like what advice would you give to people that think they might have a personality disorder and they want to get some help and support? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say for one, I would just start with self reflection, like genuinely looking back at your childhood and stuff and try to remember like certain things and think about, how that made you feel or, you know, ask yourself why you did XYZ or like really just ask yourself honest questions and be honest with
Mm.
yourself and try to like I guess better understand yourself in your past. Because it's what I mean. But as far as seeking help, um, you need to see somebody who's licensed, like a licensed therapist or psychologist or somebody that is able to diagnose you, right, and
Mhm.
get you help. Um, Somebody that will is willing to work with personality disorders and like do your research too. Like I think that's a
Mhm.
big thing. Like do your research. You can't just go see anybody. You need to see somebody who can actually help you, and you really need to take it seriously and just know that like it's not gonna be easy. Like that's
Mhm.
like we were discussing earlier. Like these like actually healing is painful and it's
Mhm.
low key a little traumatizing because
Yeah.
like now you're having like again you're having relive old shit and it's painful and it's really easy to just run away. But the thing is like you have to fight through it to
Yeah.
get
To where you want to be or need to
yeah
be.
yeah. And like I have found that like honestly, I feel like I've grown more from like pushing myself through those painful moments. Like it's made me
Mm.
it's made me realize like okay, maybe not everything I think is true.
Mhm.
Maybe not all my beliefs are
Yeah.
correct.
Certainly. It's hard, yeah. What I would say, as well, just to add on, is there is obviously this, at least in the UK, there's charities now. So like I'm part of a group called Living on the Borderline. So it's a UK-based charity for people with BPD. So that's the server I'm in that Mason actually helps run that and stuff. So there is some good communities out there. I'm not going to speak for all of them because some of them are enablers, which I don't recommend. Some, aren't as nice, but there is some nice people out there, and I would say don't believe everything you see on TikTok. the amount of arguments I've had with people that say that apparently their eye colours change when they split. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. There's because I haven't spoken to you properly in ages. So
Eye
yeah,
color change. That's a new one.
right? Are they werewolves or something? Like,
God.
I know, and they were proper arguing against me, being like, "You're wrong, and you're just a narcissist." Okay, whatever helps you sleep at night, bud. That I just thought it was really fucking
I
funny.
mean, the most you're gonna see is pupil dilation, which can make your eyes look black, but your eyes aren't gonna like actually.
I know. So, anyway, thanks again for watching the Chronically Offline podcast. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to guest, please drop me a message.